They laughed, they mocked, they pointed at my silence, mistaking it for weakness. The world moved on without noticing the quiet shadow lurking in the background. They thought it was over. They thought I was done. What they didn't realize was that silence doesn't mean surrender. Sometimes silence is the eye of the storm, a storm that's building, intensifying, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash its fury. You know what that feels like, don't you? To be dismissed, overlooked, labeled as finished. You feel the weight of their doubt, their scorn pressing against your chest. It suffocates you at first, but then something shifts. The storm within you begins to stir. This is the story of how silence became my greatest weapon. Not a pause of defeat, but the preparation for something they would never see coming. This is about what happens when you're underestimated, when they think you've given up, and the silent storm inside you is unleashed. There was a time I let their words define me. I let the weight of their expectations crush me into the ground. The harder I tried, the more they seemed to enjoy my failure. Every misstep, every stumble was met with ridicule. And when I finally hit rock bottom, they celebrated. They thought they had won. Do you remember what it feels like to be there? To have the world turn its back on you? To be left with nothing but your pain, your regrets, and the faint echo of your own shattered dreams? That's where I was, broken, alone, forgotten. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom. It's solid ground. There's nowhere else to fall. And when you're lying there, staring at the wreckage of what your life used to be, something happens. A decision is made. Either you stay there letting the world trample over you, or you start building, quietly, silently. I chose silence. Not the kind born from fear, but the kind that holds power. While they laughed, I worked. While they mocked, I planned. I rebuilt myself from the ground up, brick by brick, step by step. The beauty of silence is that it confuses them. They can't see what's coming because they're too busy underestimating you. They thought I was done. What they didn't realize was that I was becoming something stronger, something unstoppable. Have you ever felt that fire inside you? That quiet determination that refuses to be extinguished no matter how hard the world tries to snuff it out? That's what drives you when the world thinks you've already lost. When the time came, it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. The storm doesn't announce itself. It simply arrives. The first crack of lightning caught them off guard. The thunder that followed shook their confidence. And then, the downpour began. They didn't see it coming. How could they? They were too focused on their own triumph, too blind to notice the quiet power rising right in front of them. Every step I took was calculated, deliberate. They tried to push me down again, but this time I didn't fall. This time I stood tall. The storm wasn't just for them. It was for me. To prove to myself that I could rise, that I could endure, that I was stronger than they ever imagined. When the storm finally settled, the landscape had changed. The ones who doubted, who mocked, were left standing in the ruins of their own arrogance. They thought it was over, but for me, it was just the beginning. There's something profoundly satisfying about proving them wrong, isn't there? About showing the world that you're not who they thought you were, that you're more than they ever gave you credit for. But the truth is, the storm isn't about them. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your power, your voice, your life. It's about knowing that no matter how many times you're knocked down, you have the strength to rise again. In the silence, I found solitude. At first, it was lonely, achingly so. The world moved on without me, leaving me to walk a path that felt unbearably empty. But that loneliness was a gift in disguise. It gave me the space to reflect, to rebuild, and to prepare. The world misunderstands silence. They think silence is weakness, a sign that you've given up. But silence is where the groundwork for greatness is laid. I spent those quiet days honing my skills, strengthening my mind, and sharpening my will. Alone, I found clarity. Without distractions, I could see the path ahead with brutal honesty. This stage is one of the hardest to endure. The doubts creep in, whispering that you'll never make it, that the storm inside you will fizzle out before it can truly begin. But it's also the most important stage. This is where the storm takes shape. They didn't notice me emerging from the shadows. Why would they? They weren't looking. To them, I was insignificant, a footnote in their stories of success. But that's exactly where I wanted to be. Unnoticed, underestimated. From the shadows, I could see everything clearly. Their weaknesses, their blind spots, their arrogance. While they flaunted their victories, I stayed hidden, growing stronger. And then, one day, I stepped into the light, not because I needed their attention, but because it was time to show the world who I had become. When you rise from the shadows, you don't ask for permission. You don't wait for an invitation. You claim your space, unapologetically. Confidence doesn't have to roar. True confidence is quiet, steady, and unshakable. It's not about boasting or proving anything to anyone. It's about knowing. Knowing what you're capable of, knowing what you've endured, and knowing that no matter what comes next, you'll face it with everything you've got. When I finally started to rise, I didn't shout it from the rooftops. I didn't need to. My actions spoke louder than words ever could. Each step I took was deliberate, every move calculated. The world began to notice, not because I was loud, but because I was undeniable. This kind of confidence can't be faked. It's built in the silence, forged in the fire of your struggles. And when it emerges, it's unshakable. They started to see it in my eyes, a quiet storm that spoke of resilience and power. It unsettled them because it was something they couldn't understand or control. Do you know what happens when you prove them wrong? At first, they try to fight it. They cling to their disbelief, telling themselves it's just a fluke, that you'll fail again. But as you keep going, as you keep rising, their voices grow quieter. The laughter fades. The doubts they once shouted so loudly become whispers, and eventually, they're left in stunned silence. That's the moment you realize something important. Their opinions never mattered. Their words, their judgment, their doubts, they were never about you. They were about their own insecurities, their own fear of someone like you proving that the impossible is within reach. When the doubters go quiet, it's not because they've changed. It's because they can't deny what's right in front of them. And that's when you know you've won. Not because they admit it, but because you no longer need their validation. Rising alone isn't just a choice, it's a necessity. When the world turns its back on you, when even those you trusted walk away, you're forced to find strength within yourself. And that kind of strength, it's unbreakable. I didn't just learn to stand alone, I thrived in it. I realized that independence isn't loneliness, it's freedom. Freedom from the chains of others' expectations, freedom from needing their approval, freedom to be exactly who I was meant to be. There's a power in knowing that you don't need anyone to validate your worth. It's not arrogance, it's liberation. It's walking into every room with the knowledge that you are enough, just as you are. The thing about a silent storm is that it catches everyone off guard. They didn't see it coming because they weren't paying attention. They were too busy writing you off, too blind to notice the subtle signs of your transformation. When my storm finally hit, it wasn't chaotic. It was precise. Every move was intentional. Every success was earned. And the ones who doubted me, they were left scrambling, trying to understand how they missed the warning signs. This is what happens when you take the time to prepare. The storm isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you were always capable of this. And when it comes, it leaves no room for doubt. The storm isn't wild. It's controlled chaos. It's not about destroying everything in your path. It's about dismantling the barriers that held you back. It's about breaking free from the chains of doubt and fear and unleashing your full potential. Controlled chaos is terrifying to those who don't understand it. They expect rage, but what they see instead is precision. They expect recklessness, but what they witness is mastery. The storm isn't about losing control, it's about reclaiming it. This kind of power is rare. It's not fueled by anger alone. It's driven by purpose. And when you channel that purpose into action, there's nothing you can't achieve. The ones who doubted you will try to rewrite history. They'll claim they always believed in you. They'll pretend they were cheering for you all along. But you'll know the truth. You'll remember the laughter, the insults, the moments they turned their backs on you. Their regret is not your burden to bear. It's theirs to carry. And as much as they may try to hide it, you'll see it in their eyes. A flicker of recognition, a moment of realization that they underestimated the wrong person. Regret is a powerful thing, but it's not your concern. Your focus is forward, on what comes next, on the life you're building, on the legacy you're leaving behind. The storm changes you. It's not just about proving them wrong anymore, it's about proving something to yourself. It's about taking all that pain, all that doubt, and turning it into something meaningful. My purpose evolved. What started as a desire for revenge became something greater. It became a mission to inspire, to show others that they too can rise from the ashes. The storm isn't just about me. It's about everyone who has ever felt small, overlooked, or forgotten. Your storm has the power to change not just your life, but the lives of others. It's a ripple effect, a chain reaction that begins with your decision to rise. When the storm passes, you emerge into a new normal. The world looks different, not because it has changed, but because you have. The things that once held you back no longer have power over you. The doubts that once filled your mind are replaced with certainty. This is your new reality. A life where you are in control, where you call the shots, where you dictate your own worth. It's not perfect, but it's yours. And that makes all the difference. The ones who doubted you will fade into the background. Their opinions will become irrelevant noise. And you'll move forward, carrying the lessons of the storm with you. They thought it was over, but they were wrong. What they didn't understand is that the storm isn't a one-time event. It's a legacy. It's a part of who you are now, a reminder of what you've overcome and what you're capable of. Your storm isn't just about survival. It's about transformation. It's about becoming the person you were always meant to be. And that person? They don't need validation. They don't need approval. They are whole, powerful, and unapologetically themselves. So let them think it's over. Let them believe the storm is past. Because deep down, you know the truth. The storm isn't gone. It's a part of you now. And it's ready to rise again whenever you need it. That's all. I'm out. By the way, if you want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Until next time.